Hey, everybody, welcome on back. It's the Rubbin is Racing podcast with Spider, Large, Quigs, Moonhead, and Jacob is the voice of God today, making sure everything works out well. I have Fasoli over here trying to help me out alongside tech guy Andrew, because it takes a village to put on something so professional. This episode is brought to you by Jose Cuervo. We were down with Cuervo this weekend in Daytona, and a lot of times Spider and I get to see firsthand the cohesion between NASCAR and some of its sponsors, but with Cuervo being the official tequila of NASCAR, man, they were working together seamlessly. You saw the Cuervo guys on the grid, then they had a couple of activations, one on the infield with this really ballsy truck, and then one outside on like the fairgrounds, whatever the hell you want to call it. Where you got to like do some tire changing and stuff. So it just seems like Cuervo and NASCAR make sense, and we're proud to be on board with them too. Winning on race day is all about momentum, and nothing matches the energy, excitement, and adrenaline quite like Cuervo. So whether you're at home in the infield or taking over the tailgate, Cuervo is the winning move that elevates any race into an occasion that you're going to remember. No matter who's in victory lane, you can win every race day from the first lap to the checkered flag. Just remember to keep it Cuervo. We had a good time with them, didn't we, Spider? I thought I think that's going to be a good relationship for us.
Yeah, Large, I'm excited. We've been lucky recently with the brands we work with are actually ones that we're genuine and passionate about, and right. Cuervo fits that mold 100%. We were right inside the infield hanging out with their kind of activation, and we saw their massive Bronco they have lifted and wrapped.
That's cool, wasn't it?
Awesome truck. And Jonathan from Cuervo was like offering to give us the keys, Large. He was like, why don't you guys take this thing on the beaches of Daytona and drive up and down giving out Cuervo. I don't know. Home run. Great to see them in the sport, and I'm even more excited that they're working with us. So should be a great season, Large.
Yeah, we'll talk about them a little bit during this podcast because, again, they were one of the reasons why we were down there. So we do appreciate their support.
Absolutely.
And another one of our sponsors, this one obviously is Quigs, is a company called Blue Chew. Fellas, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up, and Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt gold-plated energy. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue and works in as little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. This is peak passion and peak performance in one single tablet. If your bed could talk after this, it would be asking for a break. So make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the code Rubbin, RUBBIN, Rubbin. That's promo code Rubbin. Visit BlueChew.com, BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Welcome on back, guys. I thought what we would talk about today, if you guys are cool with it, is probably the different experience that we had at the track versus what everybody had watching it at home. I took a look at Gluck's survey, and I even listened to a little bit of the teardown, and it seems like those guys, like Chase Briscoe is coming on every week on the teardown and giving his guess. Then Gluck gives his guess, and then Jordan gives his guess. And both Briscoe and Gluck were very, very low, but I think it came out to a 75, whereas I think I would have put it higher. But again, we got caught up in all the pomp and all the circumstance from this weekend. So I'm going to ask Quigs, were you able to catch it on TV?
Oh, yeah.
And Moon, were you able to see the Fox broadcast? What was it with you guys? Is it just that, not recency bias, but just the geographic bias that we had? Because Spider, am I putting words in your mouth? That was a fucking fantastic time for us, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that was I'll go first before I go hear from Moonhead and Quigs. Yeah. And I completely agree, Large. I agree with your narrative. I think if the gun to my head, I would say the race was better than 75% approval rating. And maybe that's biased. Oh, Quigs just got checked in the dark.
Let me get my lights on.
But no, maybe I'm biased because I was there. And obviously, when you're at this event, obviously it seems a lot cool. But I also think a piece of necessary context is just looking at the last couple Daytona 500s. We've seen so many impacted by weather, delayed, or even rained out. And to see this race just run in its full, planned laps, I thought it was great. So yeah, I would definitely take the over 75. And again, maybe I'm biased because I was shaking hands on the ground, enjoying the great weather and seeing this race from start to finish.
We had some fucking weird hands that we shook, and I'm going to go over every fucking one of them in just a second. Excuse my language, but I'm excited about it. But then how was the experience at home, guys? How was the experience for you guys at home watching this thing? Because I had heard some mixed results, particularly with the energy saving kind of going around. Whenever that happened, we went inside and had a little bit of prime rib, then we come out. So it was very gentlemanly. How was the experience at home?
I thought it was great. I mean, I think I'm supposed to be more mad about the fuel saving than I am, but like it didn't bother me that much. I thought there was a little bit of something in every stage, and the last stage was unbelievable. And all the pageantry before, it felt like there was a million celebrities there, which I'm sure you guys felt that more than I did. But I don't know. It was one of those races where I was very excited going into it and didn't let me down. So I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Moonhead, could you come over and just absolutely piss on our parade right now? Was there anything in it that, and listen, I think overall, we're just going to talk about the race with you right now, Moon, but I think overall the weekend had a lot to offer, and there's individual stuff that NASCAR did extremely right, I think, during that race. But what was your overall takeaway?
Yeah, I'm with Spider and Quiggs, honestly. Like, I think that it should have been ranked higher on the poll because, yeah, I hated the fuel saving, but that's become a part of it here lately, so I kind of expected it. I think, like, seeing cars, I think there was one point where Heim did, like, 160 or something, and, like, that's crazy. We got to fix that. But that's not going to tarnish an entire event for me because the rest of that race was awesome. Like Quigg said, every stage had something. The ending was great. NASCAR did a good job, and Fox stepped up big time, I feel like, this year, and their coverage was damn near top-notch. So all of that combined, I was kind of expecting the highest.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Was Moonhead just positive on the Fox spot?
I was.
Yeah.
Did you just get fucking? There's so much personal growth going on in this podcast, right?
But
thank you, Blue Chew, for part of it.
Grew a lot. Fox made some serious changes.
I will say, Large, I feel like prior to this race, the narrative on the messaging boards was, is Mike Joy washed? Who's up next for the Fox booth? Completely put that narrative to bed this past weekend, in my opinion. Sure, Mike Joy is not, in his prime anymore. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't think there's anyone in the world that could do a better job than Mike Joy currently. And until that's the case, I want Mike Joy in the booth. The other thing I will say is the small part that I did catch on TV, if you will, was I watched the final lap several times back on the clip that was on social media. And I think they nailed the broadcast there. I thought it was a great call of an exciting finish of the race. I also think it's not to be discounted how many top names were left in this finish here at the Daytona 500. Oftentimes there's back markers. Nothing against the back markers. That's what makes some of these Daytona 500s awesome. But in the same breath, I think it's also awesome that we had several champions competing down the line, drag racing to the finish after that caution flew. And that was really cool. I also think we have to give NASCAR their credit. We've seen anticlimactic Daytona 500 finishes in years past when they've been trigger happy to throw that caution, and that's decided the race. Seeing them race to the back to the checkered flag was awesome.
I will tell you, when you mentioned Mike Joy, I just had to look it up. I was down there. Annie and Bridget come down with me. I had ran into who I thought was Mike Joy, and I said hello to him, and he walked by, and I went to Annie. I was like, I had no fucking clue he was that big. I mean, because he had to be 6, at least my size. He had to be 6'5". I just looked it up. Mike Joy is 5'6". I totally was talking to somebody else, and the guy was very, very nice. He was an older gentleman, you know what I mean? So he must have been like, "Oh, look, the poor guy, old guy with dementia, me." And so I still have yet to meet Mike Joy. I
need to know who you were talking to.
I have no fucking clue. He was Mike Joy's big brother. Literally, the guy looked just like him, was dressed kind of to the nines. This wasn't at the race. I was thinking it was like coming out of the ocean deck or something. And I was like, "Oh, cool, that's Mike Joy. Hey, Mike. Hey." And it wasn't him at all. I'm a fucking idiot, man. It is what
that makes two of us on this pod at least.
Yeah. Truck race. So I was down there Friday night. Spider was down. You came in on Saturday morning. I think I was the only one there Friday night. I'm telling you right now, I've only been to a couple of truck races, including the one where we were on the car, Spider. You've been to a ton more than I have. But the truck races are what made me fall in love with racing, because it was the first thing that I watched when I went to my first race, which was at Daytona. Me and Jet Ski and Ike Taylor were smoking cigars on the top of something, watching the trucks go around. And the truck race on Friday was the best atmosphere I've seen around a truck race ever. It was awesome. Colleague did a very good job with their, having Puka there and then having Dana. Yeah, Dana. So like Dana was coming around. I spoke to him for a little while about Zuffa boxing and stuff. It really had a cool buzz to it. I know some people didn't like the call in the booth with that. It is what it is. But, it was a thoroughly enjoyable truck race for me, and a very, very cool night to be there. And I think we're going to have an interesting one this weekend as well. Trucks and Xfinity in Atlanta are both going off on Saturday. And in the truck race this weekend, Hocevar is going to be wheeling it again. Ricky again, Ty Dillon, and Kyle Busch. So the truck race really is getting a lot of focus, particularly at the beginning of the season, particularly with Ram. We spoke with a bunch of people from Ram, Spider.
Yeah.
How about this idea? You and I I don't know, we team up with Barstool Outdoors and we hunt and we kill a ram. Boom.
A catch and cook of a literal ram.
We hunt and we kill him with Sydney. Then we hand it off to myself and Donnie for in the kitchen. And then we cook the ram with Donnie. He does whatever he wants to do, wrap it in banana leaves. We'll bury it in the backyard, whatever the fuck you want to do. Then it comes out. I make a sandwich of the month with the ram meat. And then we sit down and watch a truck thing. And you got to try this sandwich.
With a carving station of
you're
the ram?
over there carving the ram underneath one of those lights like you see when you go to like the high-end buffets. We have like a jus on the side, like a horseradish cream or something. Moonhead is baking this beautiful ciabatta that he brings out. It's still hot, so he's like fumbling it around. I don't know. I think that's advertising gold.
Honestly, I know that sounds far-fetched, but like just a little context. The whole time I've been a NASCAR fan, we've been toying with ideas of bringing new manufacturers into the sport, whether it be Honda, whether it be Ram, whether it be whoever, you name it. Ram is one of the few that put their money where their mouth is. I saw Daniel Dye, a good friend of mine, at Daytona, I want to say maybe 2 years ago at this point, roll up to me driving the Daytona EV from Ram. And I was like, what even is that car? I've never even seen this thing. Right. Fast forward 2 years, he's driving a Ram truck at Daytona. Ram's back in the sport. Who knows? They could have a spot in more than just the truck series in years future. So I love everything they've done. You said it, Large. They brought a shit ton of eyeballs to that truck race. They invested in the sport. They're bringing a lot of traction, whether it be investment on these reality TV shows or new incentives. You have to tip your cap. I love what Ram's doing. So, yeah, I mean, literally, it'll be awesome storyline to watch the trucks this year and see who they're going to give opportunities to, and also follow Minnie Tyrell. So I couldn't be more happy with the inclusion of Ram. And I hope that they will join the table and maybe Xfinity or Cup down the line. Who's to say? Anything is possible with these guys. That's what I love most.
I got to just shake Minnie's hand. I didn't spend any time with them. They were at like a signing. Mamba is doing a lot of the announcing on the Ram activation that's outside of Daytona. And then I got to meet Dye as well. So we exchanged numbers. And then I saw him again at that Bert Kreischer party. So I'm talking to Daniel Dye about doing stuff. Then all of a sudden, like a very attractive blonde woman came over. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. What are you doing? And she's like, no, I'm Daniel's agent. I was like, oh, fuck. I thought she was going for the gold. So it's one of those things where I think it's inevitable that we do stuff with them. Because Colleague is pretty much DTF too. So it'd be good.
Yeah, the great crew. I mean, they were rolling with John Daly, Kid Rock. They had a big crew at the racetrack. Yeah. It seemed like everyone was loving what they had going on. So, yeah.
I would tell you, then you move on to the Xfinity race. And I wasn't at the Xfinity race because we had done a bunch of content. And then, like I said, we had to meet up. We did like a meet and greet with Bert and a couple of the Cup drivers. But Austin Hill, somebody's got to fucking cut his tires. I don't know where we're at now. That's his 11th win on plate tracks. And I can tell you, I just started betting him last year. Maybe if I bet him more, I'll do the same thing that I did with Truex and put Truex. I basically retired Truex by betting on him every week. But I mean, it's the easiest money in the world. Moonhead, how come nobody fucking puts him into the wall every time? I mean, I say the same thing about SVG, but SVG on road courses is normally 16 to 17 seconds ahead, right? So unless Natalie Decker is going to back up into him, like SVG is fucking untouchable. Why can't they take down Austin Hill?
I think it's similar to the SVG thing, because even though it's closer because they're in a pack, they still can't catch him. I mean, it's very obvious that the RCR cars have something figured out on the super speedways, and it shows when they get separated, when they are the only two cars who can even effectively push one another because they're the only ones who can stay with each other. Nobody can get around them. We saw Allgaier pushed Brennan Poole so much he almost turned him on the last lap, and they couldn't do anything with him. So I don't know. I think if somebody could wreck him, they probably would at this point, because every super speedway Xfinity race or drafting Xfinity race we've had since Austin Hill started this domination that he has wrecked out in has been just an absolute banger all the way down to the line, because the rest of the field doesn't know what to do with themselves at that point. So I don't know what they're doing, but it's like DEI 2000 to 2004 levels of super speedway domination out of that bunch.
Is it? So should Spider, I'm going to ask you and Quiggs, should I stop being negative like everybody else is? Like every other podcast is like, what do we do to stop Austin Hill? And I can understand that the racing's better when you don't have somebody who's absolutely taking you out to the fucking woodshed. But maybe we should be like, let's get behind. We never had him on the show. I never see him show up in shows. I don't know if he does a lot of press.
I got to stop you right there. That's complete bullshit if you're prepared to be an Austin Hill guy.
Are you sure? I think I am then. I'm very close to being an SVG guy this season too. But I think I'm an Austin Hill guy. I'm buying some fucking merch.
That
tomorrow.
Was my example, Large. Okay. If you're going to be an SVG hater just because he dominates one style of racetrack, i.e. the road courses, you have to have that same energy for Austin Hill, who dominates the super speedways. I personally kind of echo that kind of negative energy regarding Austin Hill because I always find myself saying, you know what? I like the RCR guys. They've proven themselves time and time again at these plate tracks. But instead of going full chalk with Austin Hill, I'm going to go with Jesse Love, the next best option. I thought Jesse Love was going to win at Daytona on Saturday. Speaking to all the drivers and people firsthand in the industry, they were all telling me Austin Hill, Austin Hill, Austin Hill. So I don't know. Part of me hates it that I can't seemingly pinpoint when it will be Austin Hill. I'm always on the wrong RCR car. But what they're doing on plate tracks is unbelievable. And one of them will likely be on my card for Atlanta.
Yeah, you almost have to. Like, it's what I say with like the cup racing is I'm always like never take chalk. Like never there are better plate track drivers than others, but like you shouldn't be taking somebody that's plus 900 in the Daytona 500. But with Xfinity, it's like you almost shouldn't bet on anybody except for Austin Hill.
Right. It's chalky.
Like you almost have to with him, and it's very like I think it's way more impressive than being dominant on a road course, because just so many different things can happen. Somebody gets a run at the end, and somehow he's always in the front.
Because the narrative now with super speedways, I think, and Denny had actually said it this week, is that it's survival and luck. And it can't be survival and luck in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, because Austin Hill is dominating and, just ripped off his 11th win on that, on a plate track. So I would like to get him on the show. I wonder if, if he'll do it. I'll ask for him.
Maybe he's just misunderstood, Large,
That's what I'm saying. I think that we have the opportunity to have a really good relationship with him, Spider. I don't have enough friends.
You guys have never interviewed him?
I'd requested him last season and he wasn't available, and then I just didn't go back to the well again. So I'm going to do it again this year.
I don't think he does a lot, though.
I've never seen him. I've never seen him do I've never seen him on it. Like I was telling you how Briscoe, I think, is going to be on the Teardown every week. I think somebody else is going to be on, like DBC. Maybe like Zilich is going to do the Monday DBC or the DBC. I don't know. It seems like drivers are coming on regularly onto podcasts like this one. Imagine we just had the Austin Hill minute every week. I don't know. I don't know if that works at all. So speaking of door bumper clear, Freddie Kraft brought up this point. He sort of said what everybody was thinking with this whole Natalie Decker thing. She stinks. and he's trying to like say, why are these people being put in? The gentleman who hosts with him, he's older gentleman who calls it TikTok instead of TikTok, is like, oh, you get 5 million TikTok followers and you're in. Is it the most egregious that it's ever been with having guys like Cletus, who I know is very, very likable, and I hope to have him on the show, but seemed like he was a little bit ahead of his skis this weekend. And then Natalie Decker doesn't seem like she's getting much better, and she's becoming a menace to everybody else on the track. I think, Catherine Legg, we had spoke about it last year. Her resume was very good, right? So we didn't really go into the point. I don't know. We never really took it to another level, but at this point, I'm kind of sick of it. I'm kind of sick of seeing we have enough celebrities. You see Puka on, in the pit box enough. I don't think you need to see fucking celebrities in the cars placing 30th. It doesn't do any good except give them more to tweet about. Am I out of my fucking mind?
I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I think at some point, sure, you're right. But a lot of times, especially like I'm looking at the truck race, for example, I didn't have an issue with that. To me, Tony Stewart coming back and racing was awesome.
Yeah.
Cletus's inclusion was awesome. And, who am I to be the voice that says approve, deny? I look at it from judge it by the peers. If you have other drivers literally mentoring Cletus to get him prepared for Daytona, and they are wanting him in the race, and they are of the opinion that this is good for the sport, I think that he should be allowed. Absolutely. Now, do I think there are obviously instances where this might not be worth it? Sure. But I think you have to look at it from a level of, does the pros outweigh the cons? And if you're talking about a truck race, I've watched several truck races where I've seen a lot of drivers with a lot more experience do something far dumber or make a far worse mistake, and something like what happened with Cletus happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you can point to finishing position all you want. My rebuttal to that would be there would be, legends of the sport that finished equally as bad. So I think you can't rave about it being a star-studded truck race and then simultaneously complain about why are these guys allowed to race.
No, I say like star-studded truck race like we're going to see on Saturday in Atlanta. Make sure you tune in because we'll have Carson, Ricky, Ty Dillon, and Kyle Busch in it. Like and listen, again, Cletus has been very, very good as far as, promoting the sport and all that kind of, and he seems extremely endearing. And Natalie the same way. Like she seems okay. I have no problem. It took her 17 seconds.
Well,
and then
so that's where I go
crazy.
when I say I defer to the people, the experts in the sport.
There's a lot of guys who paid their dues, I think, who would be in a car, who should be in a car ahead of them. I think that's always the point.
Absolutely.
And even though NASCAR tends to follow the money, particularly with sponsorships, which are tough to come by, I think we see a lot of talented drivers who could probably up the quality of the racing that we're watching on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
If we didn't have people who, were fighting to get OnlyFans on the car. And listen, I love naked broads. So like, that's cool shit. It is nothing. I'm not, denigrating that at all. But I know when Freddie had said it kind of resonated a little bit with me. Like, I don't see any other fucking sport really do that, except in the case of Michael Jordan being able to play minor league baseball. You know what I mean? Like, and with NASCAR, we kind of see it every other week.
I hate to get misogynistic here. Cletus has 60,000 people watching his in-car cam when he races in an ARCA race, when he races in a truck race at Daytona, Talladega. That should absolutely be welcomed, encouraged in the sport. That is bringing new fans and his entire massive YouTube audience into a sport that otherwise might have been forgotten about on Friday or Saturday until the Cup race comes around on Sunday.
But you're cool with that over a kid who's more talented and maybe paid his dues more?
Large. That's how the sport has always been. Okay. Cool with it. I mean, listen, I'm not sure I'm cool with it, but guess what? I've had to deal with that since day one of becoming a NASCAR fan. That's always been the case in this sport. Okay. What I'm not cool with is some of these drivers that do shit for the wrong reasons that may be in the car because they are a billboard rather than a talented driver with an opportunity. And then they continue to use that platform to make a mockery and maybe embarrass themselves when there's more deserving people. And simultaneously, there are experts in the sport, maybe co-hosts on Door Bumper Clear, that are saying you were an embarrassment to the sport, which I am inclined to agree with.
Yeah, I don't know if it sets women back or forward when they do put people who, because there are, and again, like since Since I'd seen that clip, I had looked at some of the ladies that they had mentioned as being more legitimate contenders to be behind the wheel than somebody like, say, Natalie. This isn't a shit on Natalie Decker thing. She just happens to be the one who's in the crosshairs and had that, wreck. She had some time to think about not being wrecked. And they all seem like they do deserve some shots. So it's a slippery slope coming from I was on Wall Street for a while. Coming from my business, I understand that money is is the straw that stirs the drink. And I understand, the game of social media and whatnot. But I also would love to get to a point where we saw the most talented people in the world behind the wheel exclusively in all three series. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. Is it frustrating for anybody else, or am I out here?
I think I'm kind of where Spider's at with it. I think Natalie got a lot of hate this weekend for more off the racetrack stuff, which is whatever. The on the track thing, I think from the driver's seat, that was probably a lot different than it looked on TV. I get the radio and some of the things people took issue with. The one that's really baffling me, though, because I think the Natalie stuff, like I said, I think that's just kind of people hating on her for other things, because she has raced longer than she's done some of the off the track stuff, and people are trying to discredit that. The Cletus one is the one that baffles me the most, because there are far worse people and less prepared people racing the truck series on nearly a weekly basis. Nobody out of the middle of nowhere. If you could put on your resume that you won 5 races in bumfuck Egypt, they will take you. They don't realize that there were 3 other people on the track and 2 of them broke. It's a nothing burger. I really don't. I think Cletus, he wrecked, but he didn't wreck the field. He had the wherewithal to only wreck himself, and that's a lot better than a lot.
Took out a lot of sod too, by the way. He took out a lot of fucking sod. Yeah,
the landscaping crew probably not too happy with him, but otherwise, I think Cletus would be fine. People are saying he needs to go run to Cars Tour races. Cup drivers get their asses kicked in the Cars Tour. The Cars Tour is far more competitive than trucks or even Xfinity. So I don't think that's going to help him. I think a full season of ARCA would do him the best and mix in some truck races throughout the year. But I really don't think people need to be giving him the hard time they are, because Jesse Iwuji, anytime he's on the racetrack, he is a literal danger to himself and everybody else, and they haven't pulled him yet.
Yeah,
and so he does nothing for the sport.
I'm sure there's 10 guys that you can list, Moonhead. Guys like Chris Wright are coming to mind that are just absolute liabilities on the track. Yeah. And then you see Cletus, a single car spin, and people completely blow it over out of proportion, I think is a little bit unfair.
I feel like you guys are ganging up on me.
No.
I'm totally
kidding. Anything, we're ganging up on Natalie, and Moonhead is the only one that's got her back.
It's not even. You think he just white knighted this?
No, right? I don't. Natalie's my friend, so yes, I'm going to defend her. But my issue is the personal attacks I'm seeing on social media towards her. Where last year I said Catherine Legg shouldn't have been approved to run Cup, and she wrecked herself twice. One time took out the leaders, and I had people telling me I should literally be killed. And then Natalie just acts like a girl, and everybody's saying, oh, what the fuck? Why is she behind me? She's not taking this seriously. And to me, it's what the fuck? Oh, y'all said I should be killed because I said somebody who can't drive couldn't drive. And here we are.
And here we are.
Now. So.
I hear you. So what do you think then? I guess it doesn't filter up to the Cup Series, so then it's okay. It's okay to have people that obviously shouldn't be behind a wheel. This isn't Natalie, but Spider had mentioned another gentleman's name that escapes me right now. But if you have those constant people behind the wheel who are, I guess it's okay in the Truck Series, right? Because it's such a proving ground. I just thought that once you got there, you should be held to a higher standard.
In a perfect world, yes, absolutely. But it's not the way it is. And if they want to change that, I'd welcome it from NASCAR. If they're like, no, we're going to reevaluate our approval process and your Jesse Iwuji's, Chris Wright's, if they feel Natalie needs to go to trucks or go somewhere else, whatever, as long as it's consistent across the board, I don't care. But it's the world we're in right now. They're chasing the money because somebody's got to pay the bills.
I hear you. I'm going to switch gears just a second because I didn't mention at the top of the show we have the race winner Tyler Reddick in studio with us today. I'm so fucking spoiled. So Tyler was in here with the ring and the watch and the trophy and himself and his wife and a bunch of people in the entourage yesterday. The reason I'm bringing this up now, we're not going to go to the Tyler interview just yet. Just to cut to the chase, I did not ask Tyler about Michael Jordan goosing his son. That's one of the things where I just wouldn't do that to Tyler, and certainly whatever. And also, as an old man, I've seen weirder stuff than that. Does anybody here? I came into Barstool's office, and I won't name names, but I had two guys that were like, "You see what Jordan did?" Like all of a sudden he was in a hot tub in Epstein Island. I was like, no, I mean, I saw it. It's fucking weird. And he's a social misfit. And I should preface this as saying, I used to hate Michael Jordan. I still am not like a huge I appreciate him. I wear sneakers all the time. But as a Knicks season ticket holder, when I was a Knicks season ticket holder from 1993 to 1998, I fucking hated Michael Jordan. So I don't like go over there and try to stick up for him. But you mentioned the word nothing burger before. Is this a fucking nothing burger, or does it have any legs with Michael Jordan giving Tyler Reddick's kid 8 pinches on the ass and a little caress down the back of his thigh?
I think the moment in time we're at right now, we're in the ultimate guys wanting to find pedophiles in the world time. Like, just with everything going on, it's like everybody's trying to be like accusing everyone of being a pedophile.
It's like
which,
the Salem
I don't
witch
know.
hunt. Yeah, like everyone's
it's like a little bit
around.
weird, but it's also just like people want to find things where they can be like, this guy is a pedophile.
And if someone go ahead, Spider.
Yeah, I think this was completely blown out of proportion. It kind of upsets me, to be honest. There was a lot of like horsing around, going around in victory lane, as evidenced by our own content. Netflix Knicks dumped a beer on my head, which I was initially a little bit annoyed about. But then I was like, you know what? These guys won the Daytona 500. Fuck it. Everyone was pouring shit on everyone. So yeah, I saw the reports that it was ice in his shirt. I think this is completely a nothing burger. The idea that some people are trying to spin that Michael Jordan, who's been in front of the camera his entire life, probably the biggest living active athlete on earth, recognizable wise, would do this in front of thousands of cameras the moment he won the biggest race of their race team's career in front of all these cameras is absolutely insane to me. As a handsy person myself, this was just joking around, messing around. I think it was completely blown out of proportion. If anything, Large, I'm upset by this because now I'm looking at
this. He didn't touch you?
No, that's
sorry.
crazy.
I apologize.
I'm upset because Michael Jordan has been at the track several times when we've been at the track, Large. I think the only time I've ever seen him has been from like 100 yards away atop a pit box I never would have ever been able to reach.
Right.
My concern is now, after the entire internet called him a pedophile, do we think he's ever going to be visible at the track again? Unfortunately, I'm not so optimistic. I think, I'm a little bit worried that he might not come around as much after all of fucking the internet just painted him in a terrible, terrible light. And I think that's bad for the sport. I mean, Jordan, we were just this was best case scenario. They come off a lawsuit where everyone's happy. They win the biggest race to start the season. And then now we have to deal with all this fucking bullshit narrative that people are trying to spin. And it's terrible.
He did, like, as much as like I'm not too offended, or he did do it like 10 times, which was kind of crazy.
Listen, and I want to make something abundantly clear. I want to make something abundantly clear while I'm doing this rant. To me, the story started and ended yesterday when Tyler Reddick was asked by the media, hey, did you have an issue with what occurred? And you know what he said? No. He said basically kind of what I'm saying. I think it was blown out of proportion. To me, it's on him to decide the reaction. It's on him. It's on Bo. Neither of them seemed overly worried, concerned, annoyed. And the outrage seemingly came from the internet, which is all noise as far as I'm concerned.
I do feel bad for Tyler. Like,
absolutely.
Because one, it's like the thing he has to talk about, and then it's like balancing like having the correct answer for making sure you're sticking up for your
boss.
son. Yeah. Make sure you're not like burning your boss and calling him the wrong thing. It's and he like position. Probably I don't think like he probably knows Michael, and it's like, I know Michael is not like doing anything weird, but maybe like the shot itself is weird and you don't necessarily like that happening. Like, it's just, I feel bad for him that's like what he's going to have to answer in a lot of his like press tours.
And that's a great point, Quiggs. I mean, you look at Tyler Reddick's career, he's had a great career of just winning. And as far as I'm concerned, over exceeding expectations or over delivering in the equipment he has been given. And it seems like every step of the way, there's been drama, and Tyler Reddick does not seem like a drama kind of guy, but for whatever reason, it just keeps following him. Whether it was the RCR departure where they kind of took a shot at him in the press release on his way out, whether it was, what happened at the Daytona 500. I feel for Tyler Reddick. This is one of the, as he said, this was the biggest win of his career, and he should be able to celebrate and enjoy and not have to deal with these bullshit narratives that people are trying to spin.
I'll make 3 points if I can.
Please.
If you would have put a gun to my head and say, Large, watch that tape. And I have kids. And if it was your kid, wouldn't you think that's weird? And to me, the answer is yes, that's weird. The other point I'm trying to make, you would be like, do you think Michael Jordan wants to fuck your kid? I'd be like, no, I don't believe that he's a pedophile. Right. Second point, as much as Tyler Reddick would stick up for his kid, which I truly believe that, Alexa would rip Michael Jordan's fucking head off, right? I mean, this girl just went through it with the baby, right? With Rookie. And then, if somebody's going to all of a sudden try to fuck with somebody else in the nest, I guarantee you she was slam dunked on him too.
That's a very good point.
I'm going to try to make is I think this just rubs right off of Michael Jordan. He doesn't give a shit. Like, I think he's even in an Epstein, hidden pizza imagery, drinking kids' blood society that Quiggs had pointed out from the onset. I just don't think he gives a fuck, and we're business as usual. And, if Tyler Reddick wins this weekend in Atlanta, maybe we see a little less groping, but I think it'll be business as usual for MJ, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I hope he still comes to the track. That's my point. And you're right, Large. Yes, it seems like the things he's cared about his entire life have always been unique to Michael Jordan. Even going to races before he owned a race team, the friendship with Denny Hamlin, etc. So it seems like he's still, hopefully this won't phase him and he'll still come around. But that was my initial concern seeing this narrative.
I did ask Tyler about, to see Michael get up there in the first real season points paying race of the season and have to be up there with the heads of NASCAR who they just had the settlement with. And it's interesting from his perspective, because if you want to say the definition of distractions, it's Tyler Reddick in 2025. And that's why, you see his 9 wins. It's glaring that 2025 didn't have one of them. So if he's back on track now with 2 healthy kids and nothing about a lawsuit hanging over his head, and maybe I don't have, my charter, so I could be a free agent, I could jump into this car and all that kind of stuff. I think he's such a nice person.
Yeah.
That cut him to the quick a little bit last season.
I think like you said, Large, the distraction-free 45 car this year, I think sky's the limit for him this year, especially starting, with a win first race. That's massive.
I'm going to do a little palate cleanse after that icky talk about Jordan. And by the way, again, like as a Knicks fan, I was like, man, I hope that's true.
I want to preface real quick too, Large. I live in Chicago. I'm not a Bulls fan. I'm not a Michael Jordan fan. I love the fact that he's involved in NASCAR. I love the fact that he invested in the sport. I have no skin in the game, no incentive to save face for him. You know what I mean? I'm just saying explicitly what's in my head.
Although we do need to get to that new shop.
Yes.
Whatever the hell it is.
Michael, if you're listening, invite us to the headquarters.
I think
not bringing my kid. Go ahead.
The Jordan thing, as bad as that headline was, it was nice to see all the other NASCAR stuff that made it into like the mainstream, whether it was, paid promotion or not. Like, I think a lot of people were just seeing the finish and thinking it was cool and running with that. So maybe the more mainstream NASCAR gets, the more stupid shit, obviously, we're probably going to have to deal with, because these weren't race fans. Like, I think if people knew that kid was the son of Michael Jordan's driver who just got covered in stuff in Victory Lane, everybody would say, oh, that was no big deal. But out of context, you just see Michael Jordan grabbing a kid's ass. It does look bad. But that aside, I was really happy to see the finish and even the grandstand point of view is like blowing up on Twitter.
We had some crazy moments outside of that went viral. You're right, Moonhead. The dumping ashes on the finish line.
Yeah, that too.
That was awesome.
Which, real quick, was just crazy to me.
That's illegal, man.
The coolest part to me about Daytona and the 500 is that they allow thousands of people onto the actual track moments before the race. I guess I'm just having a hard time understanding why this gentleman wouldn't spend the extra maybe $20, $30 to get the ticket where he could have went and saw Miranda Lambert in the grass and then just dumped the ashes on the grass kind of discreetly where no one would have seen. You wouldn't have been wearing them on your way out. You wouldn't have had him literally your relatives inside of your lungs as you're leaving the race. But I don't know. Again, part of me feels like the old adage, you know, like any news is good news or whatever it is. There were some bad headlines that came out of the Daytona 500, including that douchebag fan that tried to steal the shine from Daniel Suarez following the race. And whatever you think about this ashes spreading incident. But I think kind of to Moonhead's point, there is something to be said about the fact that NASCAR this weekend broke the barrier. It wasn't just NASCAR fans paying attention. There were storylines and good or bad that seemingly captured other people's attention outside of the traditional NASCAR circle.
I'm going to do a palate cleanse real quick with Jose Cuervo. Cuervo fuels the fun for NASCAR fans at campgrounds, at the bars, and at home, setting the tone for an exciting race day. When Cuervo is part of the celebration, smiles become laughter, and the music gets turned up. So no matter who's in victory lane, you can win every race day from the first lap to the checkered flag. Keep it Cuervo. Spider, I thought that alongside Cuervo with all these activations that we got to do, seeing the parade of stars come through, whether they're with Cuervo or not, it became overwhelming. Like I looked at my story for people, you know, like on Instagram, whatever you throw up on your story, I usually have like 2 or 3 live things on my story. At one point, I had like 30 because I just couldn't stop taking pictures with, you know what I mean? Like we were doing the national anthem. By the way, thank you, Cuervo. We were doing the national anthem.
We were standing next to John Daly, John Gruden.
Yeah, it was Spider, me, John Daly, Gruden, Jimmy Johnson, and fucking Kid Rock with Marshawn Lynch next to us with this big zoom lens camera, like doing the whole deal. And then at the party, by the way, I don't know much about Bert Kreischer. Like he had said that maybe he wants to do a little food content with me, and I would love to. But he was an absolute gentleman coming out to see us before the race, where we also got to meet Rob O'Neill, the guy who shot Osama bin Laden in the face, which was awesome because my wife was there with me. Braun Strowman, I believe, that gigantic fucking guy. John Daly walks up into the VIP where we were, and this is a packed place, lights up a butt. Some lady's like, you can't smoke in here. He's like, okay, I got it. And then some other guy comes over. He's like, it's John Daly. You can do whatever you want. I think he flicked it at her. You know what I mean? Like the guy is a fucking G. He does not care. That place was mobbed. We've been to a lot of Saturday night Daytona races where they have the same artists. Last year was like Demi Lovato or, you know, Diplo has done it before. That was fucking packed to the rim to see Leonard Skinner. Well, I think there's only one remaining live member from the original Leonard Skinner, a couple of comedians, Diplo and Ernest. And the place was packed with drivers and celebs and all that stuff. I'm telling you, like we mentioned the whole Cuervo sponsorship. It just was such good vibes around this weekend. I can't stop talking about it. And then it ends with us up in the box watching the race. I'm like, Spider, come over here real quick. Take a picture with me, Miss America, and Vanilla Ice. How fucking weird is that?
Yeah.
Like, how fucking weird is me, Spider, Vanilla Ice, the guys who flew the blue? Oh, we didn't even talk about the flyovers.
The Thunderbirds or Blue Angels?
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds. And fucking Vanilla. I was kick stepping with Vanilla Ice. I can't do it here because obviously his camera angles. It was something else. And when I'd say that we're sitting there for the anthem with those guys, the Thunderbirds were dangerously low.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were under attack, and they kept pulling U-turns, whatever they call it, and coming back over and buzzing the tower again and again. I felt bad for Freddie Kraft, in Netflix Nick, and all these guys up on the roof. It had to seem like he could have touched them as they were going by. And I spoke to one of the Thunderbirds guys, and I was like, were you guys extremely low? He was like, no, we had the afterburners fired the whole time. So when it was coming by, it was like, rah! It was terrifying. Like I used my daughter as a human shield at one point. It was terrifying.
If I was a terrorist and I heard that thing blow by me overhead, I would be shaking in my boots. Let's just say
I paid all my unpaid parking tickets right away. I didn't want any fucking smoke. I'm telling you, the whole thing was a lot of fun.
It was really cool. And then Large, right after the national anthem, Dale Jr. walks by. We make eye contact. He's like, what's up, Large? He's a man on a mission, but he sees us and he stops and takes the time. He remains P1 in my heart in the NASCAR world. He is my GOAT.
We went down with Gruden, like we said, and Gruden did get a private tour for the most part. Gruden and Jake Malasek. Jake had cut a video proclaiming the great time that he had, and it was pretty cool of him to do. And then Frankie Borelli was with us with his father-in-law and a couple other gentlemen. And then Frankie was talking on Foreplay about how great it was to be at a race, because Frankie's tried to come to a couple, and kudos to NASCAR for pushing it up an hour.
Yeah.
Because we went down to the winner's circle, chugging a couple of beers with the fucking 2311 guys, and then the skies got biblical by the time we got to our car to get out of there. If NASCAR would have been hosed, how do you guys feel about them not throwing the yellows at the end? As long as, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say they're going to be consistent with that. We have nothing else to judge them by. Like if they're going to be flaky and not do it again and other super speedways and shit. But the moves that they made, particularly at that last turn. So when we had the wreck at turn 1, which was a lot fucking bigger than what you guys had probably seen on TV, and then coming around after turn 4, how do you feel about NASCAR holding on to the flag there?
I said it before. I'm going to say it again. I've been a fan of NASCAR when the fans were asking NASCAR to make this change. Now here it is. I think the only explanation and reasonable reaction is to give NASCAR their flowers. That race could have been an anticlimactic finish like we've seen in years past. Instead, they let them race to the finish. And I thought that resulted in an awesome, exciting finish. We saw Riley Herbst and Tyler Reddick and teamwork be a factor down there at the end. Who's to say Chase Elliott could have won this thing if, maybe like his teammates were still around in this race or, in near his bumper. I think, again, we've seen races be crushed by cautions in opportune times. This happened, and it was not anticlimactic. We still got a banger finish. This was all you can ask for as a fan, in my opinion.
All right, so we're gonna touch upon a couple more things before we get out of here. But before we do, one of the main reasons that we're here is that we do get the Daytona 500 winner every year. As soon as Tyler had won, one of the people from NASCAR had hit me, "What's your schedule like on Tuesday?" So it's just an honor to have him here. So Tyler came in, he sat down with us for about 25 minutes or so, just giving all his reflections on the win and what he's expecting for the season going forward. So we might as well go to that right now. So here comes Tyler Reddick. All right. So as promised, as always, we're very, very lucky that the Daytona 500 winner, after they get off the podium and congratulate everybody and do whatever, they jump onto a plane to New York and then they car wash with a bunch of great places and do interviews and stuff. And NASCAR is nice enough that they always make one of the stops here, which is fantastic. So for the past couple of years, we've had the pleasure of welcoming in Daytona 500 winners, William Byron a couple of times, Ricky Stenhouse, but this time it's a buddy. It's Tyler Reddick. So welcome back to the show, Daytona 500 winner, Tyler Reddick. Tyler, how much cloud 9 are you feeling under your feet right now? Because you got to be at the top of the world.
It's incredible.
It's got to be.
It's felt just a little lighter, though, because,
So, just so everybody knows with the hardware, the winner always shows up with the trophy, and the trophy they say is 50 pounds. I lifted it. It's a lot more than 50 pounds.
It's more than 50, yeah.
On top of it, they rock the Rollie on the wrist.
Yes,
so you
sir.
get the Rolex when you win, and then they give you this hardware. Yeah. We were just talking about Frank Kelleher, who's the guy who runs Daytona, and Spider and I were talking about him earlier. We couldn't get more hospitality than we do at Daytona. That's why the Daytona 500 is my favorite race, and Daytona Speedway is my favorite track. But now it's got to be yours too, correct?
I mean, for me, some incredible seasons, some incredible moments have all, some incredible years have all started at Daytona. For me, I was able to get my first win in the Truck Series at Daytona and Speed Weeks. I was able to kick off my first championship year at Junior Motorsports with a win during Speed Weeks in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and now, I mean, our biggest race of the year, the Daytona 500.
Are you have you been properly trained by NASCAR in 2311 to switch over and say O'Reilly Auto Parts? Because I'm having a tough time with it. I got to be honest.
It was a little tricky.
I keep falling back. It's like writing 2025 on your checks when people used to do that type of stuff. It just doesn't flow off the tongue yet.
Yeah, you got to check yourself a couple times.
I'm going to mention this stat that everyone else has mentioned, but first 9 wins in the Cup Series have come at 9 different tracks. And in the modern era, the only other people to do that are Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Bill Elliott, and now Tyler Reddick. What's that like? So on top of whatever stats you have now, is this like the crowning achievement of your career to be talked about in the same breath as these dudes?
I mean, it's just it's just how these things seem to work. When you're able to win, prestigious events like the Daytona 500, these things, seem to go hand in hand. When you look down the list of drivers that have won this race, I mean, it's a special group of drivers. I'm the 44th driver to have won the Daytona 500, and a lot of people that have done that have gone on to win championships, gone on to be Hall of Famers and set records. So just a really cool moment, Large. Honestly, the first 6 attempts I had at this race, all of them were pretty much done by lap 30 or halfway through the race. And so, I mean, for me, last year was kind of a win in itself. I know running second is never what you want to do as a driver, but, I mean, it took me 7 tries just to finish, like, in the mix. And then to follow it up the next year and win it is just, like, it's unbelievable, truly.
I'm going to throw a little bit of criticism, and I don't know how much you were involved in this, but I'm going to lift this over towards the camera because it is one of NASCAR's social posts. The fuck is that picture about? I mean, that thing is hide your wife, hide your girlfriend. Tyler Reddick is in town with a select group of people.
We mixed up some of the poses.
That's blue steel right there.
Yeah. We, every now and again, I feel like, you have some of the routine poses and stuff for, like, the production days that you'll have. And I remember doing those shots, and I remember them being a little bit different from the normal. So I didn't know when it was going to get used, but they used it in a Daytona 500 graphic.
Yeah,
so there
I
you
guess
go.
so.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference between this year and last year? And is it the fact that you wound up cutting off some of that goddamn hair, which I never agreed with? I've told you that from the beginning. You're rocking that, like, the mullet type thing yesterday. Yeah. That's the biggest difference that I see with you. But outside of that disgusting show on the top of your head, and now you're back to the way that I like you, what's the biggest difference between 2025 and 2026 for you?
I think for me, it's family. We were fortunate to bring Rookie into the world awesome. Back in May, and he was born the same day as Coca-Cola 600, which is, if anyone is planning on running that race and having a kid in the same time, don't do it in the same day like we did.
Right.
Talk about being sleep deprived, but just as he was growing, things weren't right for him. And so where I'm getting at is, for me, is it just feels like the difference is my whole family, we were all back at the track together. Rookie's healthier, he's happier. That's what kind of like hit it home for me is, me and my crew chief, the team, our whole organization, we had those tough conversations about what we need to fix within these 4 walls at airspeed to win races. But also, with that, as I was in victory lane with my family, just having both my sons there, my wife there, everyone happy and healthy, seeing Rookie playing with this trophy, tapping it, looking at it, and just a part of it made it all very sweet.
Can we do a quick shout out? You know that I'm married to somebody who, I outkicked my coverage with my wife, you and Annie, and Annie says hello, by the way. We got a shout out to Alexa, right? Because the circus that sometime is Tyler Reddick, she's the one that puts a tent over it. Yeah. So, like, even when you popped out of the car and you're looking for your kids, and I saw Alexa down and, in the winner's circle with you, it's a lot. And I talk about the other sport that I cover here at Barstool is boxing. And we talk about distractions in boxing quite a bit. A lot of it has to do with injuries and stuff. But if you look at what was on your plate, first of all, as a family, what was on yours and Alexa's plate last year, and then you mix in all the shit that was going on with the lawsuit, right, which we were able to get by. I don't know of a more distracted driver in NASCAR than you last year. And that's why, even though you did pretty well in the standings, you went without a win last year, right? And so then to come back with no distractions and wonder, you were one of the questions. How's Tyler going to come back now that everything seems to be off his plate? Because rookie is doing much better and all that stuff. I did listen to the interview with Michael Strahan, so we did get the update with it, which I love. Yeah. So rookie's doing much better, and then you hop it and you finally get rid of that stupid haircut, like I said. You hop back in the seat. What does he have for us for 2026? And now we look at the point standings, because we're going to be looking at the point standings every week from now, and you're up there with a bullet. Does that provide you with one of these? Thank fucking God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a little bit in the clear, and Tyler Reddick is back. Is that how you're feeling now after this win, or are we going right back to business? Give you a little cushion or no?
It's a really great start, but, you know, I've raced long enough to know that, again, 2025 was a rough year, right? But, like, one of the things we did so well was avoid the DNFs, and that takes, you know.
Yes.
I mean, okay, yeah, you just didn't get in any crashes last year. I mean, I got in one at the Brickyard, but, like, there's a lot of work that goes into that awareness as well, right? Like, I mean, eventually you're going to be in a crash you can't stop, but, like, you know, multiple times throughout the race on Sunday as things were developing, you know, I feel like I could see some of these things were about to unfold. BJ McLeod, I couldn't have saw that one coming.
Right,
but somehow I got through it. But, like, as a driver, the things that, you know, with all the noise and everything going on, we were able to still do somewhat of a good job of, even though we didn't get the wins. Those things that we kind of kept in the midst of a not-so-good year is going to be super important to carry on this year. So, in some sense, yes, it's a really, really great start. But we're going to Atlanta. And, like, I mean, I remember, I think it was like 2 years ago in the summer race, lap 2, I was out. You know what I mean? I was wrecked. Right. So, like, it can change in an instant. But certainly, you know, the extra points you get for winning this year, the format, the way it's going to be this year, you know, in these chaotic days, and we did a really good job of this in 2024, when the days, you would have the days where, like, your top drivers would have issues or they get in crashes or whatever. We found ways to not be a part of that and then capitalize on it and win races in 2024. So I feel like that'll be super important this year.
You capitalized in 2024, and you capitalized on it on Sunday, because at one point Kyle Larson came zipping by without a front corner panel, and then Austin Dillon came by without a hood and stuff like that, and it just seemed like absolute bedlam. So I know there's going to be a shift in how drivers approach races underneath this new format. And Kyle Busch is probably the only one that had a demonstrative example about it in Sunday's race, because he had pulled back, wound up, I think, P15. So perhaps it worked out in his favor. Do you guys put that on hold for Daytona and be like, listen, for this whole season? Because if you look at the point standings right now, it's a hodgepodge, right? And it looks like that's going to change a little bit by the end of the season. That's not a dig on anybody who's in there. But does everyone kind of put it on hold for Daytona and say, all right, the chase, we'll get back to being a little bit more conservative when we need to, but for Daytona, let's go balls out? Because when you squared it out in that after turn 4, and you know, like, you went for the light smoke or whatever,
wasn't going for the safe play, right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't this. I mean, you weren't riding the wall, but you weren't going for the safe play. So do you put it on hold on weekends like last weekend and then perhaps this weekend as well?
I mean, I certainly do. You know, I think starting this weekend in Atlanta, yes, it is a speedway race, but, like, take your opportunities to score points, certainly. You know, it's still super important to finish the race. Yes, you can score 20 points if you win both stages, but if you finish 35th, being too aggressive with 100 to go, I mean, you're still not going to have the greatest points day. So, for me, you know, when I come to Daytona, Daytona's its own race. Yes, we get points and all those things, but I like to look at it as its own thing. I mean, again, there's no other race that we run all year long. Especially now where you are a champion, you know, maybe with the past format if you won at Phoenix, but this is the only one. And that's how it always has been in our sport. So for me, that's how I look at it. But certainly, you know, funny enough, from my seat, you know, it doesn't help that most of the time I go to Daytona over the years, I crash or whatever, but, like, almost every single season of my career, aside from this, I mean, it's one race in, but in last year, I mean, typically I walk away from like Phoenix or Vegas 4 or 5 races in, and I'm like 30th in points because, we just get in crash and crash and crash. So drivers will shift. Their approach will change some. But I do think, if you're on the aggressive side, if you're, I feel like it's not a bad thing. I don't mean this in a negative way, but like someone that's smart like Ross, if he knows that you're like, 100 points ahead of him and he's in let's just make the scenario up, right?
Sure.
Like if he's 100 points behind and he knows you're like one of the guys at the very top, he knows you've got more to lose than me.
Yes, exactly.
And I can push the issue with you. So it will be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. And if, some rivalries and whatnot kind of spur from it that carry on, because in the past, points do matter in the regular season, like we've seen with the previous format. But like now, let's just say me and another driver crash each other on the last lap. They win, I finish 30th. Not only have you cost me the race win, but now you just potentially cost me like 40, 50 points. And when you get to the end of this season, that could be the difference for someone making the chase or missing the chase. And so it'll be interesting to see how the heated moments between drivers develop in the future now too.
I'm so new to the sport. Spider and I are so new to the sport that we don't know what this chase is going to look like in earnest. But I can see it causing, like to your point, a lot of action with those people who are in and around that 12 to 18 as we get toward the end of the season, right? So, I mean, maybe we'll have more fireworks. If I had Brad Kay in the seat right now and I asked him about Riley Herbst, he would probably have a different answer. But can you tell me how important it was with Riley with that push towards the end, as far as being a teammate of yours, how important it was for to have him basically have your back and on your back? And then what do you do for him? Do you throw him the ring? Do you throw him a little bit slightly less expensive watch? How do you feel about that?
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
We got to catch up a little bit in victory lane, and that has got to be bittersweet for him, right?
Yeah.
Like he was happy that one of our cars won, that I won. He played a role in it, but I know it had to hurt. He was so close.
Close.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to say that I don't win that race without Riley Herbst. That's the end of the story on that. Like, It doesn't happen. And so, and I said it there, and I'll say it now. I told him, immediately after the race when he came to, embrace me after winning the races, I told him, man, I was so proud that, don't take this wrong. I'm happy that you pushed me down the back and you got us clear of those cars, but I'm even more proud of you when we came off of turn 4 and I pulled to the left to chase Elliott, that you did what you thought was the best move for you in the moment, and that's trying to get to the outside of Chase and set yourself up to win the race. I said, man, I would have, in some ways I would have really appreciated if you just stayed with me the whole way, but I have even more respect for you now today in this moment, right after the race, seeing how you help yourself, you help me, but also put yourself first. So I was, in a lot of ways, really proud of him for that. Yes, unfortunately, like he clipped Brad and everything, and it went down that way, but I mean, we were a matter of inches of potentially me not sitting here and it's Riley sitting here. So, I mean, to make the right moves and do the right things in a matter of seconds with it all on the line, I thought he was so close to having it right. And, I've kind of seen that from the very beginning out of him, especially on the speedways. When he was driving for Rick Ware Racing or some of the other things that he did on a part-time schedule doing the 500, the limited experience he's had in the Cup car and finding his way towards the front and being in the mix in these speedway races, he's done a really good job of that.
I think most of NASCAR fandom was wondering what it would be like to have 2311 and the powers that be at 2311 win a premier race after the lawsuit. And then to get that, and by the way, I know you're not a big gambling guy necessarily. Toyotas, Fords were supposed to win that race. Penske, one of the big 3, was supposed to win that race. All that stuff. So through a wrench in the work, Tyler Reddick wins. Everybody is happy. And then to have Michael Jordan up on that podium and have to go face to face and be a gentleman, like that stuff seems to be behind you. There is no residual. I never felt like there was an animosity between you and NASCAR at any time. But if we needed to have any kind of residual uncomfortableness be wiped out, I think you did that by winning the first race of the year. Do you agree?
I mean, it was just an incredible moment in a lot of ways. Jim came to victory lane and shook the hands of the individuals on the team. He shook my hand. He greeted Michael and congratulated him as well. And yeah, I know, like, it's the Daytona 500, but with every other race I've won, I haven't seen Jim in victory lane. So I think for him, again, to, extend that branch, if you will, and come to victory lane and congratulate us in the way that he did, means a lot.
It's like closure almost.
Yeah,
though, right?
I mean, for me, I wasn't there, but like seeing them both stand on the steps of court and address everybody once they got to the point of settlement,
right,
I think was a huge moment of promise going forward. Yes, we had this happen, but we've agreed to move forward together. As we like to say, 23-11. So
Sure.
seeing that and then having it happen again, if you will, when we won that race, it's very promising what the future holds for NASCAR.
I told you that I had Bubba on my card, and I didn't care when you won. Like, you know what I mean? If somebody else, I'd be like, oh, God damn it. But 23-11 has got such a bid to him lately. You've got a couple of, 3 out of the last 4 crown jewels, maybe? At least 2 out of the last 3. I think you guys have won. Yeah, 2 out of the last 3. And then, Corey Heim racing a limited amount. I mean, this is the hot shop. This should be the merch that's rolling out of the haulers and stuff like that. So talk to me a little bit about Corey, because we speak a lot about Connor on this podcast, particularly last year as he had that season. And we mentioned Corey quite a bit because you had to, because he was peeling off so many goddamn wins. So everyone that I spoke to said Connor will have a come to Jesus moment when he gets to the Cups. And he is well aware of it. We just spoke to Zilich at the track, and he's a very, very good kid. But talk to me about what you're seeing in Heim in particular, because you're closer to him than anybody else that I spoke to outside of Corey himself.
Yeah.
And being such a hotshot, young, cocky, handsome kid coming up in the Cup Series, right? So you got like Corey Heim seeing it. What are the parallels, and what are you seeing out of this kid?
Just his determination, his work ethic, his attitude, everything is where it needs to be for someone, in his position. Coming off the year that he did, it would be so easy for him to just walk around like I'm right, you're wrong type of deal. And he gets it. He understands the work that needs to go in. He asks the right questions, and in my opinion, he goes about it in just the right way. I've seen when he ran the race at Kansas, the spring Kansas race last year, it was a tough day for all of us, really. I'd gotten into the wall, I had damage. Bubba wasn't happy with his car on the long run, and here's Corey. He's just, me, I'm trying to find my speed by the wall. Bubba does a good job of it there at Kansas too, and here comes Corey. Like every long run, he'd come by just digging around the bottom, doing it a totally different way than I or Bubba would do it in our Toyota Camrys. And I was just so impressed with him on that day because, collectively our cars just didn't have what they needed. And he found a way to overcome it better than I did or Bubba did. And we've, got years of experience in the Cup Series. So his determination, work ethic, and willing to continue to just say, all right, I know how these guys have done it. I know what's good enough, but what's going to help push me over the edge to be successful, and just the limited amounts I've seen out of him. And even in the bad moments, honestly, too, Chicago for him was a tough moment, getting damage in qualifying, missing the race. Talking to him after that happened and just where his head was at, he's just doing all the right things in my book. I know it's a pretty simple answer, but it's really promising seeing that out of him, and I'm excited to see how much he's going to be able to help me in things that I need help with. And anytime, I told him this, and we've had those conversations, but anytime there's anything I can do to help him, I'm always willing to help, because I've already seen out of him.
But why?
There's ways he can help me too.
Shouldn't you be intimidated? This kid might take a fucking win from you. Don't you cut his brake line?
He could help me too.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen that side of it already.
We cut Connor Zilich's brake line first before we cut anything. What do you think is more disgusting, Joey's new haircut or Ryan Blaney's mustache? It's Ryan Blaney's mustache. That thing is terrible.
Have you seen his mustache is so impressive.
It's unbelievable. He's like a young Sam
amazing.
Neill. One of the more handsome guys I know. Listen, I haven't been that way since college. Gay, I'm talking about, but I might for Ryan Blaney for about 12 minutes just because that's on his car. So I'm not being, whatever. Joey, I love the new look. I think he kind of stole it from me. But I think if Tyler Reddick shaves bald and then goes big mustache and you trump both of them, Daytona 500 winner Tyler Reddick with a brand new Sam Neill and his chrome dome, wouldn't that fucking blow up the world?
I've only rocked just a mustache once.
I remember.
And I happened to, unfortunately, cut a tire down getting into Chris Buescher, trying to get the race back that I was about to lose after dominating it. So I just remembered walking away from that day how stupid I would have looked if I got punched in the face with that mustache.
Yeah.
But
I remember that.
But yeah, I think in regards to me shaving my head, I've hit a lot of things. I've fallen on my head a lot as a kid growing up, playing rough, and I've wrecked a lot of race cars over the years. I don't think my head looks that great. I got it covered up with some hair.
I hear you. We had Ricky on a couple of weeks ago. He had mentioned that he'd be willing to fight in a rough and rowdy. You had mentioned how when you and Buescher kind of got into it, that seemed like a little bit of an unfair fight. Buescher's a big boy.
He is.
Yeah, he's a big fucking boy. Anybody you think that you could take in that ring? If we do get a rough and rowdy in the infield at Talladega, you'd be fighting Wednesday night before driving on Sunday. Fasoli and I were talking about this. We put a ring in the middle of the fucking boulevard in Talladega, right? Get some of your crew in there.
They would love
pit
that.
Crew guys, like
they would
those
love that
guys.
too.
If you're looking for the pit crew guys, just follow your nose because it smells like a fucking bullfight in there. It's just these big, handsome dudes. I mentioned a lot about handsome dudes today.
Yeah, you've been going on about that.
But don't you think that could blow up the world too? Like
it would be really cool.
A rough and rowdy in the middle of the infield in Talladega. Would you go and would you fight?
So, funny enough, talking about this, I don't know if we went into it much, but in the past, but for me, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was kind of trying all sorts of different things from a training standpoint. And, at the time, the trainer I was working with, Curtis Walls, he was kind of exploring the boxing side of things. And I kind of picked it up with him just to more so from the training side of things. Like, it is so good for, like, your shoulders. I mean, when you go multiple rounds hitting something and sparring with somebody, I mean, it gets hard to hold your hands up. I never understood it until I experienced it myself. And, what kind of just killed a lot of that, unfortunately, was when I had my crash or I had an injury that led to me having surgery on my shoulder years ago. And so I've kind of just shied away from doing anything like that for a while. But I'd say over the last year, my training has improved a lot. I've gained a lot of muscle back in my shoulders. And so I won't rule it out. But I think my shoulders are getting back close enough to where possibly I can start going some rounds with a bag and
I'm going
again.
down the list of people that I think that he should be fighting, to be quite honest with you. What's up, Sully?
We gotta wrap it up soon.
Oh, we do? Is that it? Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, so before you go then, talk to me about Atlanta next week. Talk to me about what we can expect. And do my job. Give everybody a preview of the action that we can expect in Atlanta as you walk in there as Daytona winner, Daytona 500 winner, Tyler Reddick. So you're going to walk in as cocky as all shit. What can we expect in the action in Atlanta
out
on
of
Sunday?
the race or out of me?
Out of the race. Yeah,
I'm not going to do a great job. I don't know what the weather is like.
Okay.
That is going to play a huge factor in that. Atlanta is kind of like what Charlotte is, with weather and track temp and air temp. During the heat of the day, Charlotte is so slick, and when it cools off at night, it's so grippy. And Atlanta does a lot of the same thing. So from my vantage point, typically it's colder. I could be wrong, but let's say it's in the 50s. I think it's going to be a race where you're going to see the separation in the corners. It's going to be more like the pack racing you see at Daytona and Talladega. But our tires, as they've softened them up when we go to Atlanta, as the surface starts to wear, handling comes into play every time. And for me, I love Atlanta so much because I love the way that the legends of our sport used to race in the 90s and early 2000s, on these super speedways.
Right.
And the way that the speedway racing happens at Atlanta, because it's a smaller track and handling matters more in the corners. It's an old school, nostalgic, like, speedway race to me every time I go. And I just love it so much because yes, you're drafting and you're working together with your teammates and other cars, but you're driving the daylights out of it in the corner too. It's an absolute handful, and it's just so fun every time.
Yeah, and it's going to be a banger. So I'm kind of hoping to see you in Victory Lane again in Atlanta.
We've been really good there over the years.
That's what I'm saying. So I think I might throw a couple of bucks on you. You probably don't need to know that. But either way, I am never calling you anything from now on other than Daytona 500 winner Tyler Reddick, but I also call you a close friend. We couldn't be more happier for you as a podcast and for me and Spider. Congratulations, and we hope to talk to you real soon. This is Tyler Reddick, and I don't know. I think he wins in Atlanta this weekend. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Thanks, Lars.
Talk to you guys next time. All right, so as always, pleasure, right? Absolute pleasure spending some time with Tyler Reddick. He is the best, and this is going to be one of the last times that I talk about it, at least for today. But Tyler and I afterwards did a little bit of Jose Cuervo, because that's what we do. Winning on race day is all about momentum. That's what Tyler had done. And nothing matches the energy, excitement, and adrenaline quite like Cuervo. Whether you're at home in the infield, taking over the tailgate, Cuervo is the winning move that elevates any race into an occasion you'll remember. By the way, Spider, you were terrible at that tire changing thing.
Was
it tougher than it looked?
I'm more of a single lug nut guy.
You are, yeah. We were able to
the Cuervo activation. I agree with NASCAR's decision to move to the single lug nut.
Yeah, I will tell you, we went over to their activation, said we were going to film something for Barstool. They turned off the music for us. They got us all, got us a couple of frozen margs. It was a delightful experience.
Aside from that. The tire changing was the hardest part.
Yeah, I was expecting a zzz, and I didn't get it at all from Spider. I didn't get it all. But no matter, NASCAR and Cuervo is the perfect pairing for race day. So no matter who's in victory lane, you can win every race from the first lap to the checkered flag. Keep it Cuervo. Spider, I had heard Zilich. I had told you earlier, and I know that we were working on a nickname for him when we spoke to him at his hauler over the weekend. Do you know people who follow him are calling themselves Zillbillies instead of Hillbillies? I just love that.
I call him Zilly, but I think we should call him, hear me out on this one, it just popped into my brain, the $1 zillion baby.
The $1 zillion baby is a good one.
I just thought of that.
So the Zillbillies thing,
the $1 million baby.
Yeah,
and
$1 million baby
ties into the fact that he's a young baby. He's a highly sought after prospect. I don't know. Yeah. There might be something there. I'm still work in progress.
They had mentioned it too because it got found out, I think, way back when he was 15, he might have crept into Addison Rae's DMs or some shit. Remember
he commented on a post of hers, yes.
Yeah. So instead of Connor Zilich, they were calling him Gooner Zilich, which is a little bit, and he's embracing it. He's such a good kid. But I'm a full-blown Zillbilly. And
absolutely.
And I think a $1 zillion baby doesn't seem like a bad one either. I had mentioned
Quiggs, what do you think about that? You're laughing over
there.
No,
I'm just laughing at that's like, did you see the guy go up to JSN at like Super Bowl media day? He's like, I got a nickname for you, the Emerald City Route Artist. It was just like the worst nickname ever. And I'm like, sometimes when you try to force a nickname, it's a little bit
It'll
too
come
much.
Naturally.
I know NASCAR Chasm, that guy we had bumped into. Oh, we bumped into a bunch of our, I don't know if you would call them, whatever the comps, like the guy from Break Hard. We saw him and his brother a couple of times. Very, very nice guy. You guys should be following him. He does a very good job. And then NASCAR Chasm, I just find that guy to be very, very entertaining.
He's hysterical.
And I think it was him that started calling Zilich the fall guy after he fell off the roof.
That's a good one as well.
And then the symbol was him, looked like he was doing a breakdancing move upside down when he'd snapped his fucking shoulder blade or whatever. So, I mean, the kid's going to be around for a long time. So, I had mentioned this while I was on with Tyler that Modern Era, he's joining Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Bill Elliott as the fourth driver to have their first 9 wins at 9 different tracks. Do you think we can get to a point where Tyler Reddick, I did not ask him. I totally flaked on it. I totally forgot to ask him. So I'm going to ask you guys. Do you think he should try to run the double at some point? On the Coke 600, Indy 500, the bullshit that I don't approve of? Or is that something that he shouldn't do? Is that only for Larson?
I have an interesting take here. And usually my answer would be an overwhelming yes. You guys know how I feel about bringing new eyes into the sport, et cetera. That's our effort. I'm going to say no. I just got done saying how excited I am to see that 45 car race this season, seemingly distraction-free with kind of no nonsense going on. So I think Tyler Reddick, I don't know, like I said previously, sky's the limit for that 45 car this year. I would like to see him fully, a full crack at the NASCAR Cup Series. I think he's a championship driver. I would like to see him get that championship before he focuses on other disciplines of racing personally.
Fair enough. I think I agree with you. That's going to be twice in one episode, which is fucking scary.
Thought I had something.
Moonhead, would you like to tell me I'm wrong again, or are you cool with that too, jerk off?
No, I think that if you're going to be a full-time Cup driver and do the double, you have to have a championship under your belt at this point, because we saw how wrong it can go with Larson. And I think scheduling there needs to be some schedule tweaks to make it more double friendly before it's really worth it for a guy like Reddick, in my opinion. Maybe he feels different. I'd welcome it. I think it'd be cool, but I don't see it happening.
Quiggs, I want to hear from you, and then I have one other thing I got to add.
I mean, I think that's almost reserved for like the biggest name in the sport, or like somebody who it has a name that's known outside of NASCAR, which I don't know if Reddick's there yet. It could be kind of cool if like he's going with Jordan and they're private jetting together and stuff like that, because that's a name that like draws attention and stuff. But I don't know. It wouldn't change my day either way if he was the one racing it or somebody else.
And the stakes are too high in this chase format.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden get caught in weather and not be able to get the PJ down from Indy.
Yeah. I think instead of focus on any other disciplines of racing I think Tyler Reddick should focus on inviting you and I to the track at every opportunity possible. Hear me out. It has recently came to my attention that at least three of the 9 Cup Series wins that Tyler Reddick has accrued in his young career, we have been in attendance for.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, Talladega, and now the Daytona 500. And I'm pretty sure Dave Portnoy was in attendance for an Xfinity race at Bristol, if my memory serves, in which Tyler Reddick won wearing the Saturdays Are for the Boys helmet. And Dave and Tyler have a photo in victory lane. My point is, Tyler, I know you're listening. Invite us to every race, dog. You've won 33% of your Cup races with us in attendance. Let's keep building, dog.
At least.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, walking around the floor yesterday, Tyler was talking to KFC, and he was like, do you mind taking a picture? And Kevin's like, sure, give me your phone. And he was like, no, a picture together. He's a legitimate stoolie.
Oh, yeah.
He used to listen to KFC radio for a while. He had said, I'm sad to see that you guys at KFC radio is coming to an end, or it's already come to an end, at the new year. And he was like, I'm so sad to see you guys go, but it's so nice to see you guys going out on top. Like all the stuff that just doesn't get said by somebody who happened to read a Wikipedia page. He's a stoolie. He's a great. So, I mean, let's give some shout outs, Spider, because there's a lot of people who I'm going to mention one who made this weekend extremely special. I'm going to mention Frank because the precedent of Daytona's my favorite track. It's not any kind of secret that it is. And a big part of it is the guy who runs the place. And, you're talking about Tyler being good to us. Frank Keller is an absolute gentleman, always dressed to the nines too. Jesus Christ, he makes me feel bad about myself. But the
Jordan
hospitality
Bianchi
that he shows
wishes
us.
he could.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I mean, who else made this a special weekend?
For me, it was the NASCAR staff themselves. Yeah. Raquel Alford, Melissa Atkins, Lauren Amani, Lawson Colgate, the crew of women we have at NASCAR that take care of us, chaperone us, shuttle us around, whatever you want to call it. They allow us the access that has allowed me to fall in love with NASCAR. Half the reason I love the sport is because we get such good care taken care of us. We can do seemingly whatever we want at the track. And it's because of people like Frank, Raquel, Melissa, Lauren, Lawson, etc. So I don't know. Our opportunity at the track doesn't exist with those people. And I know I'm neglecting people as well, but I specifically want to call out those 5 people for making this Daytona 500. I'm probably going to say the best one I've attended. Now, obviously, the first one, you always love your first, right? But this one is the best one I can remember for a long, long time. And it's not lost on me that it's those people that played a massive role in it.
I did my first. If you guys follow me on social, I do some food content. When I was up in the booth, Spider, I did a review of the Bill France Jr. hot dog. Because in all the things, they give you that spray parquet margarine.
The Parkway butter. Yeah,
something like that. You spray the bun down. They provide you with a flat top. There's a hot plate flat top right there to toast the bun, the dogs are on that roller to nowhere. You know what I mean? You've seen the 7-Elevens. So it's margarine, toasted bun, dog, chili, coleslaw, onions, cheese, and yellow mustard, and a shitload of Texas Pete. That's how, little Bill France Jr. liked it. So I had when I put up a review.
How does that compare to the Martinsville dog?
I'm telling you, I liked it better than the Martinsville dog.
Yeah.
Like it had so much going on. It was cool. And you could have a napkin. I ate all my Martinsville dogs at the stand inside pit row. They don't give out napkins because it'll obviously blow it in Kyle Busch's, the front of his car and stuff like that. So it was just a good experience.
Pray for the porta potties after that dog.
God, it was a tough night at the Hampton Inn.
You're going to need Anthony Alfredo to deliver some dude wipes personally after that.
He had a tough weekend.
Yeah.
Shout out to Festa Pasta. The guy's an absolute. He's an absolute.
He's
gentleman.
An easy kid to root for. I felt bad watching what happened, but
we're moving on to Atlanta this weekend. So strap in, right? I mean,
strap on.
Strap on, strap in, take a deep breath and try to relax. Moonhead was saying Jacob had come over in between the break saying about the softer tire compounds that we're going to see in the Cup Series, which had caused some fireworks and some really good racing last time around. So if we're going to see that again this week in Atlanta, I don't know. I'm preparing for another fantastic race. So I will tell you, as I said from the beginning of the show, that the trucks and O'Reilly are going off on Saturday, February 21st. The trucks start at 1:30, and then the O'Reilly Auto Parts, Bennett Transportation and Logistics 250 go off on Saturday also, but not until 5 p.m. And then Sunday we have the big boy. We have the Auto Trader 400 from Echo Park. I got to stop calling it Atlanta. Echo Park Speedway. It's going to start at 3 p.m. and you'll catch all the action on Fox. I don't think there's anything left for us to do, boys, except for pick some winners. I would know that I was in more boxes than Ellen DeGeneres for the Super Bowl, and I hit on one, which I felt very good about. I had more picks in than fucking Eddie Van Halen for this past week in Daytona, and I didn't even sniff a winner. You had me in more fucking parlays, Quigs. I didn't hit any. Did you hit anything last week?
Oh, Reddick.
You had Reddick?
My card was
outright?
I had Reddick outright. I had Hocevar, so I was lining up 2-3. Our chaos parlay had life too.
It did for a while, but I wound up goose egging. Oh, good for you! I didn't see that.
Yep.
I'm upset, Large. I'm kicking myself. I know it's easy to sit here after the fact and been like shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I was gonna wear this Tyler Reddick fire suit alongside my Patty the Batty blonde ginger long shaggy wig,
right? And
enter this segment last week and say my pick for the race is Tyler Reddick. And I was going to give one pick, but unfortunately, you know how I operate in my brain. I can't settle for just one. I had to have 10. I woke up with an overwhelming feeling that Chase Briscoe was the guy this week. And unfortunately, I think it was Cody Ware had other ideas for us in that race. But the
odds on Reddick were
I was going to say,
insane.
Quiggs, thank you for reminding me. Again, what I was saying, it's easy to sit here and Monday morning quarterback or like armchair boss, whatever you want to call it. The fact that he was 40-1, 40-1, we saw him win. And again, Large, I have a hard time believing that when I look back at our personal experiences of watching him win at Talladega, at Miami, with aggressive moves and kind of moves that he had to make here at this race. So 40-1 for Tyler Reddick seemed like an absolute steal. And Quiggs, you are a mastermind.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason, I guess it's a good thing to happen, but I had at the end Hocevar and Reddick up front. I should not be being I don't want Hocevar to win because he is plus 1,500 odds less than Tyler Reddick.
Right.
There's no world where he should have those odds. And I know there was struggles and whatever, but if somebody like that has plus 4,000, take him.
Yeah.
Anything can happen, and it's if a good driver has odds like that, you have to take it.
But I even asked Reddick too. I was like, I know this is a new season, and the only person that we saw kind of tweak their aggressiveness levels, or at least what he'd said over the radio, was Kyle Busch. He said, when we're in 30th, I think actually he's in 22nd or 23rd at the time, and did finish 15th. So him kind of pulling back and waiting for the chaos to happen did work out in his favor, but everyone else seemed to be balls out. And you see that. By the way, at one point, Kyle Larson went by without a front corner panel, and then Austin Dillon goes by without a hood. I mean, it looked like a brung with your run type fucking race.
Yeah.
And if you look at the leaderboard now, and I know we're only one race into it, please don't come at me, but to see Reddick up top makes sense. Then you have Joey P2 in the points thing now, and Chase Elliott P3. But beyond that, you got Zane Smith and Ricky Stenhouse, then Brad, then Busher, then Bubba, then Carson Hocevar, Ryan Blaney. If you're looking for familiar faces like Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell or William Byron, you're going into 15, 20, 25s type stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll look at some lines this week, and we hope that you look on the lines at DraftKings because that's exclusively who we use. And you can see it's a big jump ball. So take some chances with it, and you can have some fun. I mean, Quigs is a perfect example. This isn't the time to be fucking chalky. So does anyone have any picks, or you want me to go first? No one's going to have mine. I didn't even pick winners. So do you want me to go first just so everyone kind of get in the line? I took Ryan Blaney as the top Ford at plus 310. I like that. So I'm going to take Blaney top Ford plus 310. I took Ross Chastain. By the way, Ross Chastain had a pretty cool, whatever. Ross Chastain, I took him as the Group C winner. Group C is made up of Kyle Busch, Brad Kay, Chris Buescher is the only one I'm worried about, and Ross Chastain. So I'm taking Ross Chastain out of that group, and I'm getting plus 260, just a little bit more than plus 250. And then I have a 3-pick parlay for top 10 finishes. And the 3-pick parlays, I'm doing the 3 Bs, Bubba, Buescher, and Briscoe. Those are my 3, and that is paying plus 824. So I'm going to throw some winners in, some long shots, towards the end, but that's what I got right now. Maybe I'll hit you with my long shot before if we throw up a graphic or something. So that's what I have for Echo Park this weekend. What do you guys got?
I'm happy to go next if you guys want. I'm looking kind of at what we were just talking about, Quicks, guys with a little bit better odds, more value plays, in my opinion. And guys I'm looking at are Carson Hocevar, who finished here second last year and was driving like an absolute fucking liability, is 25-1. So I really love Carson Hocevar, 25-1 here, where he's proven that he's been good. Hopefully he can channel his aggression until the right time in this race and then take advantage. The other guy I'm looking at is a little bit lesser in the odds is Kyle Busch, 20-1. Kyle finished here 7th last year. I was encouraged by what I've seen from Kyle Busch, and I think this is an opportunity for him. Those are the guys I'm rocking with on the Cup Series for now. Also, I want to call out, I know we were talking about what we hit last week. I didn't hit anything on DraftKings Sportsbook. However, on DraftKings Pick 6 app, I won close to $200 and almost went 6 for 6 and won nearly $1,000. So make sure you're following on Twitter and check out the Pick 6 app, which is live in Florida and a bunch of other states where DraftKings is not. I'll have picks every single week. Outside of the Cup Series this week, however, though, for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, I'm going to take Austin Hill plus 350, Jesse Love plus 550. If either of them win, we're profitable. Something to watch for on Saturday. That's what I've got this week. I will be enjoying the truck race on Saturday as well, and I will also have some Pick 6 lineups mixed in. So that's what I got.
Love that. I remind me to do Pick 6 next Super Speedway.
Quicks, I had everyone to finish worse except for Joey Logano. It would have won like 1,000.
I think that's the way to do it. It's just you can get great odds on like the big names to just be like, they might get in a wreck and be in the back of the pack. But for this race, I'm going with Chase Elliott plus 1,000. That's my chalkier play.
Chalky, you chalky son of a bitch. You chase sexual, but
this is going to be one of these seasons where Quiggs heats up and I'm forced to tail every single play. So Chase Elliott might end up on my card.
I guess I'm tailing you too. I got Kyle Busch.
Okay.
I have a feeling that I like the way he raced last week. He has good success in Atlanta.
The Busch push.
I think we could be getting a Kyle Busch win this weekend.
Hashtag unshaven for Kyle Busch.
And then I have a three guy parlay. I don't have the odds, but I think it was around plus 3,000. It's Connor Zilic top 10, Ricky Stenhouse top 10, Kyle Busch top 5. So that's my play.
What does that pay?
I think I don't have it with me, but I think it was plus 3,100.
Oh, nice.
But
How
don't
about
quote me
you,
on
Moon?
that.
What do you like?
Moon, before you go, I'm going to throw in
sorry.
one long shot if you don't mind, because I'm looking at these now, and like I said, I just have fun betting on play tracks like this. There's so many people that I find kind of attractive. So since you're going back to the well with Kyle Busch, I think I'm going to take Brad K. I'm going to take Brad K plus 2,000. And if it doesn't hit, that's my last bet I'm throwing on Brad K. I'd rather do like a top 3 with them, but I'm going to take the plus 2,000 to win. Let's go fucking Brad K.
There you go.
Sorry about that, Moon. All up to you, buddy.
Yeah, I really don't. I have liked a lot of what I've heard. I really like, obviously, Spider's play in Xfinity. I like the Chase Elliott idea from Quiggs. The one that's standing out, though, to me is Suarez. Obviously, good history here, and Spire always does good at Atlanta.
I
almost
love it.
won it with Hocevar. So I like
What
Suarez.
are his odds, Moonhead?
Plus 4,000 right now.
Oh,
so,
that's great value.
Yeah.
I love your pick. I love that pick. Like, yeah, I mean, Suarez joining Spire, and we saw how Spire and Hocevar drove this track last year. Suarez, I said last week, he's a guy on a 1-year deal, seemingly racing for his job. He's going to be willing to pull some crazy shit. So I love that. And plus 40-1 is good value.
I thought we were going to get a Christopher Bell out of Moonhead.
Yeah.
Because he loves taking Bell. And I was
this-
like, I hate Bell, like just taking him. And I was very close to taking him. So it's like,
This is where
Moonhead's
Bell
definitely
started
taking
his three-peat last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
yeah.
So something to watch for. The other thing.
Boys. Oh, go ahead, Spider. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I wanted to ask you guys. I know I would personally love if DraftKings offer odds on this. I don't think they ever will. But out of all the active drivers, the active winless streaks, I'm going to rattle off like the first maybe 6 names. I want you guys to tell me which one you would choose first to win. Cole Custer, active win streak, 134 races. Eric Jones, 116. Kyle Busch, 94. Michael McDowell, 85. Daniel Suarez, 71. Brad K, 60.
Suarez is 71.
Bowman is 53.
Can't be.
Busher, 45.
Oh, because it was Atlanta
seasons.
2 years ago.
I
Yeah,
guess.
because he picked up the win in Mexico for the Xfinity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez,
I
I'm
mean-
starting to learn about fucking NASCAR.
Yeah. Time flies, boys.
Yeah, it's
It's
I mean,
funny how
my
certain
answer-
races stick with you, too.
Yeah.
My answer to that's easy because there's part of me that thinks it happens this weekend with Busch.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm holding out hope for Brad K. So I'm gonna stay with Brad.
I'll take Busher, 45 race
That's good too. Yeah.
snapped.
Mm.
Eric Jones was close.
You're right. Eric
yes.
Jones.
You know, and I think this
hope
year
it's Eric
legacy.
Jones.
Hate to hear. I know Quiggs hates to hear the legacy news, but they've got the JGR deal this year. So, and it looked good in Daytona. I mean, John Hunter was making moves. Eric was making moves. I know it's Daytona, but got to have them feeling good this week.
And John Hunter had a big hole in his fucking hood too, right? It was fun looking at these cars going around. We had a great time. All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you very much to all of our sponsors, particularly Cuervo, which made for a great weekend. Thank you again to NASCAR for all your help while we were down there. And we'll see you guys next week on Rubbin is Racing.
Peace.
See you guys.